Good morning. Bouncing back or steady as she goes.
This for us today. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Hoping for a happy ending like those two. What a beautiful story after all those years. And she still has the necklace.
Yeah, she's got it on in the picture.
Gorgeous. Good morning. Yeah, we're talking about GDP today. That is gross domestic products. Basically, the collective value of all of the goods. Sound of a crane falling. We make and sell, and perhaps the most important way of measuring the health of our economy. Now, every quarter of the year, we look at how that value has grown. More growth means more money means more jobs, and more jobs mean more spend, and on it goes. Now, the figures out this morning telling us about January to March. We'll round off a year in and out of lockdown. Remember spring last year, hardly anything was open, even manufacturers and building sites were shut down. Offices, pubs and restaurants, non-essential retail, all pulled the shutters down. The impact was massive. It was the most severe recession or shrinking of the economy that we've seen in more than 300 years. We did get spending again in the summer, though. Do you remember Eat Out to Help Out? And businesses began adapting well to working in different ways. But the autumn brought those tier systems, another full lockdown in November and again in January. And the impact has been brutal. This week, one of the biggest casualties of the pandemic, Debenhams, closed its stores after more than 200 years. The brand will move online, but the shops and most of the jobs are gone. We spoke to Julie. She's been a cosmetics supervisor at their Mansfield store for 35 years. An emotional time for Debenhams workers. And this is Shirley. Now, she runs a small business supplying merchandise for events, and she started making different products to get through the lockdown, but she does predict tougher times ahead. So the experts are predicting that the economy will probably have fared better than expected, all things considered, but there is a long way to go to full recovery for the economy to be the same size as it was of March of last year, and there will be more casualties ahead in terms of jobs, no doubt about that. Dan and Louise, I will bring you the latest just after 7 o'clock.
Yeah, well, the sector, those numbers later. Thank you.
Thank you. Bouncing back or steady as she goes. Good morning.
Rushed into the studio. She's looked at them. She can tell us what they say. Morning.
Yeah, so this reflects the first quarter of this year, and it's roughly where we were expecting to be. Good morning. Yeah, today we learned how the economy fared in March, which then also gave us the picture for the first quarter of the year. Economy 8.7% smaller than it was at the end of 2019. So a lot of growth needed to get back to full recovery.
Nina, thank you very much.
Things look better in March, though, as schools reopened and businesses picked up. Good
Through the figures can tell us what's going on.
Yeah, good morning. It's close to where experts predicted we would be. Good morning. We saw some really strong numbers for March. Have a think back. Schools were reopening. Confidence was growing. The vaccination programme was expanding. Now, during that month, the economy picked up by 2.1%. The Chamber of Commerce describing this as exceptionally strong. And the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, this morning saying things are moving in the right direction. Here he is. But not strong enough to stop an overall contraction for the months of January to March. Now, over that period, a 1.5% shrink compared to the quarter before because of the stringent lockdown measures in January and February. Things will get better. The Bank of England says we are on track for the strongest growth since we came out of the Second World War, and experts predict that wealthier families coming out of lockdown next week will be spending big. But last year, we saw the biggest contraction of the economy for more than 300 years. Overall, the size of the economy remains 8.7% smaller than it was at the end of 2019. And we still have more than 4 million jobs propped up by furlough. We still have high rates of youth unemployment. We still have lots of businesses which will need to pay back loans. So, Dan and Louise, overall, a strong picture to grow from here. But still, there will be some bumps in the road.
Thank you for taking us through that, Nina.
Yes, I do. Good morning, Louise and Dan. We are talking about GDP. We had the latest figures at 7 o'clock. Just a reminder of what that is. It's basically the value of everything we make, everything we sell, and the services that we provide. Overall, it's probably the most important indicator of the health of the economy. Now, a growing economy means there's more money about. More money means more jobs, and of course, more jobs mean more spend, and so the cycle goes on. Now, despite strong growth in March for the first quarter of the year, so January to March, the economy shrank, look at that, by 1.5%. So where are we overall compared to pre-pandemic? Have a look at this. You know, I like my graph. So the first dip that you'll see Here it is. That is the dip in 2008, and then you can see there the economy steadily growing until March of last year, when that is humongous dip that goes down last spring. Then last summer, Eat Out to help out, businesses adapting to lockdown, some recovery, and then that little dip you see again, that's the one we're talking about today. Now, the expectation is from now things will continue to rise, but how quickly? The economy remains almost 9% smaller than it was in December 2019, but the Bank of England says we're about to recover at the quickest rate since the end of the Second World War. But that's with more than 4 million people still on furlough, some of those jobs hanging in the balance, and millions of young people out of work and worried about the future. But the Chancellor this morning predicted that there will be opportunities for those people ahead. The thing to take away from today is that March did see a 2.1% growth. April, May and June will almost certainly be even better. And of course, some people are living through extraordinarily difficult times. Important to remember that, but that rates of employment and recovery are much better than experts were predicting this time last year. So some reasons to be cheerful, Dan and Louise, especially because come Monday, we'll be out and about and spending a lot more again.